my point is, from the faith and the physical, is I don't think you can really separate the two.
No.
Because I think you'd have a very hard time being fully at the state of spirituality where God has created us, when we're sick all the time, when we're struggling with our health. And I know there are some extreme situations where believers are dealing with sickness and things like that. But a lot of the believers that I know that are dealing with sickness are because they were dealing with something and went in for something, and something got messed up, and now they're dealing with the repercussions of that for the rest of their lives.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I really think to live our best lives, it's that balance between understanding that our spiritual, our soul and our health, our body, it's all so interconnected. And it's intentionality and discipline.
It is. You have to make the choices. You can't let people, and that's part of the reason why we started homeschooling, just, taking our health into our own hands, like gardening, all the things, because being responsible and not just saying, I'll let the food industry handle this part of, or, I'll just buy my dinners out, or I'll let somebody else do the cooking. I'll let somebody else raise my kids. I'll just, I'll let somebody else make our health decisions. Like you said, just tell me what to do, Pastor. Right. No, God doesn't want robots. He gave you a free will for a reason. And
grow.
If you reap what you sow. So if you've been sowing into the standard American diet and medications, and then that's what you're reaping the benefits of, unfortunately.
Yeah. Right.
And the cool thing is that you can switch it so fast. Like literally your next meal, you can start eating healthy and clean and organic and start supporting that. And I feel like the more people get on that, we'll hit a tipping point where so many people are asking for healthy food that the industry will have to change.
Right.
Because you can't, they won't, right, exactly. I mean, they're only feeding what people demand. So if we demand something different, you vote with your dollar. I mean, you vote with your choices. And it's like, if you just, even like, we're just not going to eat out this week. I mean, that's a huge choice for people, like for some people.
And it changes everything. It's so good when you make that decision.
Yeah.
If it's for whatever reason you decide to make that decision, if it's financial or health or whatever, it changes everything, and it just perpetuates all this. One of the most epiphanal moments that I think I ever had was, you talk about the AMA when they took over, basically hijacked the medical system and just reconfigured what we thought, to also understand that our education system was also taken
wired
over
on purpose.
And so, when we look back and we realize, I think all of us feel, for lack of a better term, we feel dumb. We feel like everybody's been dumbed down as far as the knowledge that was out there, that was available, that we could have had. And we feel like we're starting from the place we are to go back and try to learn, about, our kids never learned how to garden. They never learned how to do all these things.
There's a revival of that.
Yeah, we're backpedaling. We're trying to figure this out. And what I've learned, and what my family has come to you for years, is that whole fear factor, for lack of a better term, it's always there, because it's always being poured on us, and we have to overcome it with every case. It's what I've learned. I have to be reminded of it. And that's one of the beautiful things. Every time I walk out after talking to you, it's just, I don't have fear right now. Whereas when I've gone to a conventional doctor, the fear is so strong. It's unbelievable how strong it is. And so I completely understand why people get stuck there, because they don't have those people in their life. Like you said, they have not placed those people. They haven't found those people yet.
Well, it's awareness.
Yeah.
It's awareness of making people aware that there are options out there, and you have access to those options.
And education. Anything you want to know, it's right there.
And
that's what's so amazing.
We were talking about my mother-in-law, who is 91, and we're laughing about the fact that she eats whatever she wants to, and it's just like sometimes I shake my head. I'm like going, how in the world can that woman eat what it was. And you had mentioned on that, it says, but her formation.
Right.
Her body's
so
been able to handle
important.
that
The
at that
world
point.
that back then was so different here in America.
Yeah.
But just like you said, people in Europe, you know, I go overseas and I eat this pasta, I eat that. I feel fine. I come back to America and I eat the same type of food, and I feel like I gained 20 pounds.
Right.
And because it's that amount of toxicity in America with the preservatives and additives, the ultra pasteurized food, you know, the genetically modified this, that, the other, not even real meat or anything. Like, it's so toxic in America, from like our meds to our food to our water to the air.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just talking to a friend who has a scientist that's out after the hurricane in North Carolina, and the water is so toxic right now because of all the dead animals and the runoff and things like that from like the agricultural areas, that the water they don't think it'll ever come back to normal because it is that toxic. And nobody is allowed, none of the scientists are allowed to talk to each other about it because they don't want anybody to know
Right.
how sick it is. And it's just, but if that happened anywhere in America, it would be the same story, that the water supply and everything would be so tainted because of how toxic our food is and the animals are and everything is. And that is not what we were created to do. God said, this is the earth. You're supposed to take care of it. We were supposed to be stewards. How are we stewarding the earth if we're, you know, putting all these animals in these tiny little places and feeding them each other in weird, disgusting things, and then feeding that to people? Like,
Right.
wow, it's so gross. But I mean, like you said, we don't have the awareness. You know, people have been shielded from what's in the food industry or what's in the medicines or what's in the vaccines. People don't even know. Yeah, or that you have options for cancer. You don't have to take chemo and radiation. What? People have overcome cancer naturally? You got to be kidding me. Like, yes, there are options for everything, but it's like, if nobody ever talks about it and we're hush-hushed and put down because that's censored information, you can't say that without your doctor approving that information. Like, how do we have freedom of speech and anything where are our freedoms, you know?
Yeah,
like,
it should be a matter of choice.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
all things, that's America.
Yeah.
It's freedom of choice.
Yeah.
And I think one of the ways that people battle our freedom of choice and try to rob us of that is to not let us see what the options are.
Right.
Yeah.
And
So you have no options.
right.
Basically.
And most people, because they're not, like you said, they don't know how to look for community. That's a struggle. But I mean, I would just encourage people. I mean, if you want to understand things that you've never understood, you know, it's going to be awfully hard for you to get online and start researching things, because online's hard right now.
Yeah,
You don't know what's accurate
What's real.
or anything.
Yeah.
You need people in your life that do know. And that's where people like Gina come in to be able to speak to people and give them, out of experience and education, of saying, look, there is a better way. There is an option. I just encourage anybody, whatever you're going through, at least explore the option. At least see that you do have a choice that you can make. My mother had ovarian cancer, and that took her life in the end. But I remember at the end when she was better, she was getting better, and I remember her saying, she goes, if this ever comes back, I will never, I will not be treated again. She goes, I would not, if I had to do over, I would not do that.
She woke up to that. I've often thought, you know, when you get a diagnosis like that, what's the first thing you do? You pray, you go to God, and you say, God, you know, help me discern, help me to heal from this, and you beg for that knowledge and that understanding and that peace, and then you turn right around to a doctor and it says, we need to poison you.
Yeah.
And you say,
and they're
okay.
like, it's emergency. It's like, you don't have any time to think about it. They literally want to do something right then. And I mean, my brother died of leukemia, and he was gone within a year of finding out his diagnosis. My sister healed herself of colon cancer naturally. My brother went a Western route. And I don't know if he would have healed if he had done something naturally. Nobody's to say.
Right.
But I mean, he felt like he had no choices.
Yeah.
You know, they just came in, you need this surgery, you need this chemo. We don't have a chemo for that. We're going to give you this, what is it, like just the study?
An experimental.
Yeah, an experimental.
Yeah.
We're just going to experiment on you and do all this other stuff. They were telling him they were going to take his leg, like all kinds of crazy stuff. When I saw him, I mean, there was no communication with him hardly at all the last year because he was so sick and drugged up. He wasn't just sick, he was drugged, like so drugged up all the time that it was hard to have a conversation with him. That is not a quality of life that God intends for us. You know, and I've had other people who went naturally with things, and even if they ended up not making it, their quality of life and how much time they had with their family
See, that
and
was my
how
mom's statement.
is so important. They were not in and out of the hospital. They weren't drugged up. They weren't in and out of this cancer and that. They were in their own home with their children, with their family. They were making a difference in their community and being such a light and an encouragement to other people while they're sick.
Yeah.
And I mean, what a testimony, you know what I mean? What a testimony to say, you do have a choice, you know, and we're all going out of this world. Like you're not going to stay here forever.
Right.
And, you know, so everybody's so scared of dying. Why are we scared of dying? We're going to go meet our Savior. Like there's nothing to be scared of. Yeah, of course you want to do all you can, but at what cost?
Do you know, my mother said something when she was getting close to the end, and I come from a family of believers. My father was a pastor, but faith has been a very important piece of all of my history of family. And I remember her saying something as we're sitting there talking, and she goes, you know, I'm not scared of dying. I'm scared of the process. And I thought, man, that's such a big, just be able to separate those two and understand, and to know that she would have handled that differently if she had the chance again. So I just think it's so important.
And it's not in God's will for that process to be so
and everybody's got to make a
Yeah.
decision.
Like
Everybody
birth.
has to make a choice.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like they need to know what those options are so that they can make a choice.
Right.
And that's my cry. I'm like,
Yeah.
I love
just
that
need
people
the
want to heal
information.
people. It's just like, let them see what's here.
Yeah.
And let them make a logical choice.
Right. Yeah. And we
Are
need to
you-
have those open, honest conversations.
Are you
know?
hopeful now?
What's that?
Over from what just recently happened in our country, not to get too political, but are you hopeful?
Oh, I'm pretty hopeful. I
Yeah.
actually just the people who are getting appointed to, or even being asked, like just blows my mind that, you know, we actually could make America healthy.
You can actually have real conversations now.
Yes,
And not be,
and not
And not
feel
be
like you can't
censored.
talk about stuff and you're not allowed to say this, that, and the other. I mean, they have hijacked terminology. I'm not allowed to say that I help people heal or cure anything. You can't say that you diagnose anything. They are not my patients. They are clients. Like there's terminology you are not allowed to use, and they will come after you for it. They will shut down your business, and they will shut you down and put you in jail.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. You can't even label. They put Amish farmers in jail for labeling something for healing eczema or something like that. I mean, it's just Amish farmers really like they're
Right.
such a threat.
Right,
Get over
right.
yourself. Like, I mean, dumping raw milk out like just because it's illegal. Like,
Right.
there's so many dumb things that our government does, and but you know, so if we can get the right people into those agencies, they will clean house because the agencies are run by the same people who run the businesses.
Right.
It's not like
Yes.
they're separate entities. You know what I mean? Like most of the people, like if you look at the breakdown, it's like all these private corporations and like Monsanto and like the big pharma companies, they all have people in Washington.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like if we could get
protecting them
actually the good
perfectly.
guys in there, farmers and like, you know, down to earth people that are working in the fields and put them in there, they know how to clean house. So it's like, why not? Let them do their job and do it in the government too. Why not? I mean, why do we have,
That's,
you know,
that's been the most exciting thing just
Yeah.
here in the last couple of days. Just, are you kidding me? That could actually happen. We could actually get these things
I
changed
know.
and rolled back and get educated.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
could actually get educated on this stuff and understand what's been happening to them.
yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this. When this truth does kind of roll out and people start to understand how the government has hijacked everything, do you think people can handle it? I often ask myself that. I'm not.
I was really upset with myself for vaccinating my kids. I mean, I beat myself up for all that.
tough
It's a
one to
tough one. And
take.
when you tell somebody that you could have possibly injured your child or it was the food that you gave them that hurt them and caused them to have this problem, that's a hard pill to swallow. Like, that's just, it's hard. But it's the reality. Like, you know, it's the same thing as like you were on your phone and you got in a car accident. Well, if you hadn't been on your phone, you wouldn't have gotten in the car accident. Like, it's the reality of it. But instead of just being like the victim in the situation and just beating yourself up, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and be like, now I'm going to make a difference, and I'm going to use this as a way to tell other people and help them to learn so that they don't have to make the same mistake.
That's right.
You know, let other people learn from your story. And I
right.
think that's what's so important. If people could just look past themselves, it's not about you. I mean, yeah, you got to go through stuff, but you go through stuff for other people. Like what you're going through is definitely to help other people to see you know, like how many, you don't have to, like every book that you read is somebody's life, you know what I mean? And I mean, think of all the, like Paul says, you know, you are the living epistles. You're walking around, you are the history books right now. And so just use your story to encourage somebody else. Where you started. Did I start out here being able to do all that? Oh, heck no. You know what I mean? Like we all started somewhere, switching things out in our pantry and doing what we could do here and there. It starts somewhere.